What's up, everybody, and welcome to VHS Movie Talk for you, the movie fan. I'm Dom Toyota, and I bring you all the latest news in the world of movies, plus some little insight into what it all means. Wow, I stumbled over my words there today. Normally, I'm a lot better and quicker at it, but it is what it is. So today we have a special guest on the show, somebody that I have known for a long time, who's very knowledgeable about his information, and I'll bring in the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Randy Bowen. What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, what's up?
Nothing too much, man. Nothing too much. So what's going on? Tell us a little bit about yourself while I go ahead and make sure everything is streaming correctly over here.
My name's Randy, and honestly, I'm a diehard comic book fan. I love reading the comics. I love learning about everything. All the movies I watched, every single movie. Most of the time, I go to the theater to see them two times, even if I don't like them all that much. But they are they're just a passion of mine that I've always had, and going to the movies was always kind of like a safe space for me, where I always just would be able to sit down and kind of let go of everything. A
Right
lot of
on, man.
people, they have meditation and all that stuff. I got movies to go to.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. So you know how this works, right? So I'm going to deliver a couple topics to you guys, and we're going to go run down and we're going to discuss those topics and we're going to debate about those topics. So we got a couple things and a little nervous about the way things are going, but that's okay. So, Randy, at any point, if you have anything that you want to discuss towards the end of the show, topic wise or movie wise, please, by all means, you're more than welcome to discuss those things with us. Let me just go ahead and get this set up here. And all right, we're going to go to here. Now, also, too, one more housekeeping thing, and then we'll get started with the show. So, I would like to open up the floor for discussion and to be able to get you guys answering questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer those questions. But in order for that to happen on a mailbag segment towards the end of the show, you would need to send in questions to vhsmovietalk@gmail.com or go ahead and hit those comments below. They pop up in real time, and I'll be able to read those comments for you. Okay, guys. So let's go ahead and start with topic number one. Now, everybody knows that I believe Man of Steel is the greatest comic book movie of all time. I love that movie. When it came out, I seen it about 12 times in theaters, right? But you can't deny and you cannot pretend that the DC films have not been where they should be, especially when compared to Marvel, right? So there has been movies that came out, Batman v Superman, you had Wonder Woman 84, you had Suicide Squad, both other Suicide Squads, Shazams, so on and so forth. But nothing has really been that good of a show in my eyes. But a little movie came out a couple weeks ago. Warner Brothers has discussed and said that this is such a big movie that everybody's going to love it. The fans are going to love it. It's going to bring DC back. Not really. It's the Flash that came out, and the Flash was hoping to do a $70 to $75 million opening weekend, but it only opened to about $55 million. And this is the Flash has hit a historic drop for the DC universe as the biggest second drop in the DC's history. Now, when I say drop in the box office, what I mean by that is when a movie comes out and it makes money, right? You either want it to be at a 50, you want a 50 to 60% drop, or over 50 or 60%. Anything over the 50%. Boom, you're popping bottles, champagnes, you're making good money, which is great. Same thing goes with the 60% drop, or 60% over when a movie comes out makes money. But when it starts hitting into that 50% drop, that's normal. A movie will normally do that when it comes out. But when you start getting into the 60s and 70s, that's when the studio has lost money. So let's go ahead and look at this real quick. right? So Wonder Woman 1984 that came out in 2020 was at a 67.2% drop. Suicide Squad 2016 was at a 67.3% drop. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice 2016 was at a 68.4% drop. Shazam Fury of the Gods 2023 was at a 69% drop, and Suicide Squad 2021 was at a 70% drop. Now, keep in mind, for that 70% drop for the Suicide Squad in 2021 and the Wonder Woman 1984 2020, that was same day release. And what I mean by that is it's in theaters and also same day drop on HBO Max. Randy, let's go to you because I want to hear your thoughts on this, right? Obviously, here we see that The Flash is terrible. It was projected to hit $70 to $75 million at the box office. It only made a whopping 55% at the box office. Now, over the weekend drop, it is expected that it has fallen below the 14, anywhere between 16 million and 14 million percent, compared to the already 55% at the box office. So, Andy, I'm gonna I keep calling you Andy, Randy. Sorry, I'm gonna let you take it away. And what are your thoughts on this, man? What do you think this means?
Well, I think what it means is a lot that the Flash. A lot of people don't really like Ezra Miller, in my opinion, for a lot of other things that's been going on. I don't really think that The Flash itself was a bad movie. I just think that the drop is people not being interested in the storyline anymore. They don't see the characters. Everyone knows that DCEU is dead. They know that it's going into a new direction. The movie's out right now. They're just trying to cash grab for, in my opinion, whatever they can get from all the work that has already been completed, you know.
Right.
And they're just trying to get as much money back as they already have lost, pretty much, in these storylines, into the development, into everything that goes into making a movie. It's all gone. You know, James Gunn has taken over, and he's gonna take the DCEU and in a different direction. It's a real shame, in my opinion, overall, because I do think that the Flash had really good points and really good parts to it that, as a comic book fan, you know, it was accurate. One of the things is that I would say is one of the best adaptations of how accurate Flash's powers are on screen. A lot of times it's like he's just the fast guy. The Flash is beyond fast. He has the Speed Force, which is, even though they didn't do a great job with it, to be able to go in time and to do it that way, like in the Snyder cut of Justice League and in the Flash movie, I thought that was pretty well done and easily explainable to the non-comic book fan, which I always thought which I thought, since I watched the film, was actually well done. It was just unfortunate that they used a lot of nostalgia, and I think a lot of people who wanted to see the movie, like myself, saw the movie and didn't go back the next weekend to watch it again.
Sure. I agree with a lot of that, but I also have some other things that I want to add to that as well. Now, I've gone and I've watched The Flash twice now here in the theater, and I enjoy the movie. We've had a lot of DC properties that have come out over the years. Nothing yet has hit Man of Steel level for me, but at the same time, things that have come out I've enjoyed, but not as much as I enjoyed The Flash. I think The Flash is really well done for what it is. Look, we all know what happened with Ezra Miller, right? Now, maybe not so much of the average going movie fan, like my mom, my dad. If I ask them saying, hey, do you think that The Flash failed at the box office because of all the domestic violence that Ezra Miller has done or have been involved with? Do you think that, how he is as an individual, do you think that is reasons why the movie has failed? And my parents would probably tell me no. Like, I don't know. Why are you asking me this question? Which is
Yeah.
a very realistic question from my parents. So I like to use them a lot as the average going movie fans, right? That's because they'll casually watch movies and they don't pay attention to all the nitty and gritty stuff like we do as movie pundits online. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Also, too, uh, the DCEU as we know it is being rebooted. It is starting over. So why would I, as a moviegoer fan and a person that loves these properties, why am I going to waste my time with these movies when they don't even matter anymore? What's the point? So why should I invest my time in these? But I think I think it sucks that the Flash isn't making money. So we definitely aren't getting a Flash 2, which we all knew that was happening, right? The DCU or DCU is now being rebooted in 2025. We have a couple movies to go until we're officially out of the DCEU era or the Zack Snyder era of films, which I actually enjoy. But I digress. So, all right, let's go ahead as we're still talking about DC. Let's kind of uh, let's jump a little bit, right? Let's continue to go down this path of DC, right? So the DC is in trouble, Randy. Gosh, I'm okay. The reason why I keep saying Andy is because one of my team members' name is Andy, and so he normally is on the show, and we normally discuss. So Randy and Andy, they kind of go hand in hand.
Tomato, tomato.
Tomatoes, tomatoes. Okay, so DCU is falling apart, right? And we all know that in 2025, the DCU is being rebooted, right? We have uh, Blue Beetle coming out August 8th. And then in 2020, I'm sorry, 2020, in December, we have Aquaman 2 that comes out. Then after that, I don't think there's any more superhero properties in the DC universe. The next movie that is officially announced under the James Gunn is Superman Legacy. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, right? And Randy, I'm sure you could comment on this and give a little more in depth of what I mean, because you are more of a sports guy than I am. No, your knowledge is far more advanced than mine, right? Right now, the
Definitely.
DC, after these movies come out, the DC's dead. So we've clarified that. But James Gunn and Peter Safran is now taking over. We have a comment by Brandon that it says Aquaman is going to hit numbers. I hope so. I really hope so. Real quick, Randy, before we get into these numbers, what do you think? Is high or over? Right? Are we going to see? Are we going to see flash numbers for Aquaman, or are we going to see previous DC numbers with Aquaman? Now, remember, Aquaman 1 grossed almost $1 billion, if not $1 billion, at the domestic box office or at the worldwide box office. So go ahead and answer that question real quick.
I would say, honestly, I don't have a lot of hope for Aquaman 2. I think that Aquaman 2 is going to have a better first weekend. But when it comes to the second weekend and the drop off, I think it's going to be another like 60 something percent. I think a lot of people aren't like, it's not going to have the return that like the good movies that good superhero movies that have been
Sure.
coming out in the past. I don't really think that. Yeah, I think it's going to be the same kind of drop off. I think they're going to have the same kind of tone in DC where it's cheesy lines, cheesy jokes. That they don't take the characters seriously. There's I don't want to go off on anything, but
No, that's fine. Yeah.
yeah, there's thing in Doctor Who, the first Doctor Who, when he was labeling the notches, and when they would ever tell him like where he was doing, what he was doing, he was labeling the notches of the phone booth, and they were like, "Why are you doing that? It's a kids show." And he's like, "They know,
Right.
they know." He's like, "They're not dumb, they're just children." And when that little bit of detail, just a little bit of love and care, I don't see in a lot of the DC films, and I think you would agree that that little love and care can make the difference between a
Sure.
great superhero
Absolutely.
movie and a bad one.
Yeah.
And that's what's missing from the DCEU, and it's sad because I love these characters. I love all the characters, and the love and care that I want out of these characters is just not there.
Right. I do agree with you. So let's go ahead and look at this, right? Um, guys, I got to tell you, we're not going to see um, the DCU over here. James Gunn and Peter Safran, right? They got some work ahead of them. Superman Legacy is the first movie announced under the James Gunn and Peter Safran now led universe, right? So let's look at this. Fury of Gods made 133 million, and that came out this year. You had Suicide Squad 2021, $168 million at the box office. Wonder Woman 1984, 2020 made 169 million at the box office. Birds of Prey, terrible movie. I have no idea how that movie, by any means, got at the box office, which is terrible. If The Rock can't save a franchise, man, we are done. The DCU is dead. It's somebody said we're frozen.
Yes, we were frozen.
We were frozen for a second. How about now? Are we good? We're all
We are
good.
good now.
All right. Yeah, man. So it's we are in a rebuilding phase, and I say this using sports analogy, right? We're in a rebuilding phase. So anytime that a new or a sports team is in that rebuilding phase, don't expect us to hit that World Series. Don't expect us to hit that Super Bowl with the DC universe, right? The Superman, when that comes out in 2025, don't expect that movie to hit high numbers. And you know what? That's okay. And I think Peter Safran and James Gunn, I think they're okay with that, to be honest, because you have to be okay with that, right? Because if you're not okay with your property not making money right away while you're rebuilding, then you're in the wrong business, right? Especially when you had this sports team, and I'm just using this, and you can clarify and add more to it at any point. Please jump in. You have you have this sports team. We'll say the Eagles, right? We being from Philly, we know how the Eagles are, hands down, right? So this team, let's just say, was you got Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ben Affleck, Ezra Miller. The list goes on and on. These were players on the Eagles team, and then it wasn't good. They're not doing well.
One of the things I gotta say is that I think when they were going for that direction of these guys very early on, 2014, 2015, when they were casting these guys, I thought they were perfect castings. I always said Ben Affleck as a physical person, with the way he looks, the way he acts in the past, he was a great Bruce Wayne, in my opinion. Henry Cavill, obviously. Gal Gadot, she had the look about her, though she was a runway model kind of look, but that, she could always beef up a little bit. That's no big deal to me. And then Jason Momoa, perfect Aquaman. The Flash, nobody, even the comic books, you can even look at, the Flash isn't as big as any of the other characters. So you could really play with the Flash a little bit, and I think that's what they wanted. But when it came to the way the movies went and how they did it, they failed. They're a lot like the Sixers. We're talking about the team analogy. They built a team and it's not working, and they had to trade away players. They had to get new people coming in. They had to recast. It wasn't working out, or they had to bench a guy because he was hurt for an entire year. So it's like you can't, and a lot of this, they had to wait because of the Zack Snyder with his family and the tragedy that happened. They had to rebuild from one of their biggest releases, and that was not, personally, I still think they should have stuck with his idea of Zack Snyder. Should have been the Justice League.
Man,
2 movies.
Absolutely. The Zack Snyder Justice League, by far the best. Honestly, now this is going to upset a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't care. I don't mind being controversy or talking bullshit if I have to. I don't care. I personally think Zack Snyder's Justice League is a better movie than Endgame.
Ooh.
Right?
Oh.
For me. Now, for me, all film is subjective. Film is subjective. But for me, Zack Snyder's Justice League was a lot better than it was a lot better than Endgame. That's what I have to say.
Oh yeah, I think that it definitely allowed, when they finally released the full cut, it definitely allowed for a fuller version of what Zack Snyder was going for. Now, there was a little bit with the oh my gosh, that were all like, what are they? Are they living? Are they not living? That was kind of a plot.
The mother boxes, yeah.
But it had the same tone throughout everything, where, the Flash had his own sequence where it looked like he pretty much was going to get half the movie, and Cyborg looked like he was going to get like half of a movie thrown his way. The Cyborg part blew me away when I saw it. I had no idea so much time on that guy.
Right.
And, local New Jersey, the actor, local New Jersey native, his name is escaping me in the moment, but it's such a shame because Zack Snyder actually gave the characters the love that they deserved. Especially one of the things that really irks me, because she's one of my favorite characters, is Wonder Woman. Like, one of the things that like 1984 Wonder Woman had, and was the fact that she was somehow like a lover. Like, oh, everybody love everything. She's obsessed with love, and like through love everything. That's not Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's the type of person that like punches a guy in the face and almost kills him, and then asks for information. And then if he doesn't give her information, she'll kill him and then move on to the next guy. She's a warrior.
Sure.
She's like a Spartan. Sure. And
absolutely.
She's a badass. And Zack Snyder in the Justice League, she cut off the Abomination, I guess now, but not the Abomination. He wasn't the Doomsday. He was another character they made or whatever, but he's supposed to be Doomsday.
Yeah.
And they made that. And she cuts off, that's canon in the comic books, cuts off his arm. That's how badass she is. That thing killed Superman, and she was able to wound it. I don't know.
Sure.
And then you just see the difference in tones. You grab different directors, different writers. It just felt like, in the the Russo brothers universe. It was their universe.
Right.
They were the end all be all. And it just, you could totally see that without a number one guy or girl or anything like that at the top, with the direction, there was no focus, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna stay on this topic. I'm getting a bunch of feedback on my end. For those of you watching, let me see. Hold on. Yeah. So I think it's my end that I'm getting feedback on. Let me see. Hold on. All right. There we go. All fixed. For the most part, it was fixed. So. It's, you know what? It sounds like in my ear. It sounds like somebody's eating potato chips, and I don't know why. But right. So coming up this summer, and let me go ahead and get the correct dates because I want to make sure I have. For those of you guys who are watching, let me just test this 1 second. I want to make sure I have. Now, for those of you guys who are watching. Oh, wow. Hold on 1 second, Randy. I'm sorry.
Do your thing.
No, yeah, it's audio on my end. Actually, let me see. Hold on. Let me see something. Okay, Randy. So it is coming from your phone or your setup. There we go. Whatever you just did right there, that works absolutely. Okay. So coming up this summer, while he's fixing his equipment, we're gonna kind of jump into our main topic of today's show. Right. So Thursday, July 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. through Sunday, July 23rd, 2023, San Diego. Oh, we love San Diego. San Diego is having their Comic-Con, as they do every year, except during the pandemic. Let's go ahead and check on Randy real fast. Hey, man, you doing okay? Nope, yeah. It's still there. So I'm not too sure, but that's okay. So let's go to this real fast. So Comic-Con is coming up this summer. And Comic-Con's canceled, right? Not really, but figuratively, Comic-Con is canceled. So what we're looking at here on the screen, right? We have on to the left of us, we have Marvel Studios, HBO, we have Universal, Disney, Sony, Lucasfilm, and Netflix. And then on the right of us, we have Paramount, we have Max, and then we have Warner Brothers. The left side of us are the studios that aren't attending Comic-Con this year. And then to the right of us, we have everybody that is the right of us that are attending the Comic-Con this year, which is extremely confusing for the most part, especially with Max, because HBO and Max are the same parent companies. But they're just, I don't know. That's really weird that one's going to be there, but not the other. Now, with this happening, Randy, and I think everything's good on your end now, which is good. Max, Paramount, and Warner Brothers are the only studios attending Comic-Con this summer. Is this a good thing? And here's why. Right? For those of you who don't know what's going on, we have currently a writer's strike, which is happening. We have the writer's strike, which is happening. We have a producer strike happening for films. And now what is happening is we are heading into an actors strike coming up on June 30th. We are potentially there. which would suck, right? Because Warner Brothers is going, which would absolutely suck for James Gunn to be like, hey guys, guess what? I have an announcement on who's playing the new Superman and who's playing the new Batman, but it really sucks. I can't be here today because there's an actor's strike, or I have this new information or this new story and a director attached, but I can't bring them out or tell them about it because we're in the middle of a strike right now, which really absolutely sucks. But Randy, I know you said that you had some things you wanted to talk about and dive into the nitty gritty on this. And do you think this is Warner Brothers here? And I know the show has been heavily based on DC because that seems to be the biggest news right now. Do you think that Warner Brothers is going to show up, DC is going to show up to Hall H this year, and they're going to drop their nuts in front of everybody and show everybody in Marvel that they have the biggest dick? That James Gunn and Peter Safran will be standing up there and suck it. So go ahead and what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think that this is a giant opportunity for Warner Brothers and all of DC. I think one of the reasons why HBO Max is going to be there is because with Warner Brothers' contract with HBO, I think HBO Max will get, my opinion, I think there's going to be a lot of TV shows plugged. There's going to be a lot of DC movies and a lot of DC TV shows and cartoon movies that are just going to be blasted in front of everybody's face. And finally, some of the things get an actual recognition that I think that they deserve. They have had, DC has had a run of animated movies that has just been phenomenal. They've just been top notch across the board. And
Yeah.
they're not very well known. Usually a lot of the releases are on HBO Max, but it's just, they're just so good that finally being a spearhead in Comic-Con, maybe giving them notoriety that they deserve, because I know a lot of the teams that work on these movies and the TV shows that they have at DC, they do a really good job. They put the love and care into their characters, definitely. But the other side of it is that I have to say, if it falls flat, that could be a real big step back for the James Gunn universe and for everything. If they don't bring it, I could really see a lot of people losing hope with DC and with a lot of these movies that are coming out with it throughout, DC's run, making the DCEU. It a lot of the perception fuels the first weekend, So I think Comic-Con is a giant opportunity for Warner Brothers and DC to actually take a big step forward, especially, calling a spade a spade. Marvel is not, even though Marvel has the last movie with Ant-Man wasn't really good, fell on its face. But the Guardians of the Galaxy coming out was finally, it felt like a final save of the Marvel universe, where people finally came back, and we don't know when we're going to get another Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sure.
And it's a lot of that is, this is an opportunity that DC can finally start taking steps forward in the next 2 to 3 years, because the Marvel projects that they have that, just telling it like I see it, I just don't see a lot of hype around Marvel movies like I used to, or in the Marvel future.
They're no longer, the Marvel movies are no longer, they no longer feel like event films, especially after Endgame and Infinity War. Once Tony Stark left, once Chris I accidentally ripped out my cord. Once Captain America, I was going to say Chris Evans, but in Captain America, once he left, right, the films, they don't seem that entertaining anymore. And right now, Marvel is in a stage where they have no idea what the hell they're doing and which direction they're going. And this is the first time we've ever seen a Marvel property or the Marvel universe be this way, which I find it very interesting. Is do you think by 2025, Randy, do you think we're going to see the the teeter totter, right? The roads change. Is DC, is this DC's time now? Are they going to be top dogs on the block, or will Marvel get their crown back? What do you think, man?
Honestly, what I'm gonna say about this might kind of be a little weird, but I think the dynamic of Marvel and DC will actually flip flop. Where we look at DC with James Gunn. I believe he'll create a direction to move this forward. He'll spearhead. When you talk about rebuilding teams, the first step of getting of rebuilding a team with young new players is getting a great coach and getting the leader at the top. And James Gunn is a proven leader at the top. And I think that him spearheading this new project could really open up a lot for these movies. But conversely, I think Marvel will go into single universe movies in the sense that it, like how we had the Batman with Robert Pattinson, which is a good movie, but it's a standalone.
Absolutely.
A lot of standalone movies coming out that I feel like Marvel could benefit from, where they have a lot of standalone movies. If they try to reboot a universe, I personally believe that it's just going to fall flat, or they're going to, everyone's going to compare the new, Iron Maiden or Iron Lady to Iron Man, and everyone's going to be comparing. But if you just made good solo movies of Marvel characters, you can continue to make money. And DC has an opportunity where they can actually build a universe. So I think you will see actually a shift, not so much maybe one dynamic being better or worse, but I will definitely say I think that it will flip-flop.
One thing, so when Marvel started out, their films were solo films. Yes, they were alluding to a bigger universe, but they were independent stories focused on a character. And yes, they were very formulated for what they were. And, it's understandable. But for the most part, these films or Marvel films were standalone films. They were character-driven films. And that's one thing besides Man of Steel that we really haven't gotten in the DC universe. So I am looking forward to seeing that and heading into that direction. All right. So with that being said, I just checked my email. On this week's show, nobody sent in any questions, which is fine. That happens. So we're gonna go ahead, and we're at the 40-minute mark, or about to be at the 40-minute mark. We're gonna go ahead and wrap things up here. Randy, I want to thank you so much, man, for coming on and being a part of the show. I can't wait for hopefully you coming back in the future and doing this. Yes, I mean, hey, look, we all start out somewhere. Believe it or not, in the very beginning, when I started this little movie talk podcast, it started out on my phone, and I was doing audio only, and then I jumped to YouTube, and it was me and a bunch of nerds that are my buddies here in Texas in a basement of a church that would allow us to do the show there. And it was rough, and we all sat at a table and used a laptop, and the audio quality and the video quality was terrible. So it's come a long way.
Yeah.
My plan is with this show is to grow it and bring on more cast members and have people part of the rotation, so I can build the show and have it be successful enough for eventually, what I always like doing is building something, starting something, and then wiping my hands clean and walking away. I did that ever since the BWTV days. That's how I am now too. I want to get this off the ground. I want to be able to have, like, let's say you or somebody host the show one week, or get a rotation of people on the show every week, to where I go, hey, great, it's taken off. Here's the keys to the car. Enjoy your new ride. I'm gonna go create something else. So have fun, enjoy the show, and do with it what you will.
That's great.
So that's the plan. Uh, Brandon popped up and said, here, let's go ahead. We need a Thor movie. Well, we had a Thor movie, right? We had a Thor movie. But the thing is, with the Thor, like Thor 1, it was great for what it is, right? Thor 2 was absolutely garbage, man, in every aspect of that movie. It was terrible. And then what was Thor 3? What was it? Thor Ragnarok?
Thor Ragnarok.
That was a great movie. That was a lot of fun. And then Thor Love and Thunder, I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. I enjoyed the movie. It is what it is, but I mean, it wasn't anything groundbreaking, right? See, right now, Marvel is in this weird phase of storytelling where everything needs to be a comedy, and I don't understand it. I don't know why we're in that phase of Marvel right now. And it kind of started with Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I get it. The Guardians of the Galaxy. Why that movie, why the tone of the movie it is the way it is. But it seems like after that, every property needs to capitalize on that awkward and weird Marvel comedy that just you're having a dramatic moment. You're having right. So what Brandon just said here, we need consistency. Hey, Randy, I'm just going to mute you for a second while I'm just ranting here. There we go. Yeah, we need consistency, and that right now is what Marvel is not doing. Marvel is not being consistent with their storytelling right now. And a lot of people go, well, the reason why Marvel movies are falling apart, why nobody's going out and rushing to see these movies, at one point that used to be considered eventful films. They're like superhero fatigue. That's not it. And I've been screaming this argument for such a long time. It's not superhero fatigue, right? It's not. What it is, it's storytelling fatigue. It's genre fatigue. There's no diversity in these films anymore, especially in the Marvel films. There's no, like, I want to see a superhero movie, make it a horror film, right? We've seen the comedy style for what it is, but make it a drama, make it this, make it that. You can still tell these great stories about these gods and these heroes, but there's no, like Brandon said, there's no consistency to them, right? The genre is not, it's not worth watching anymore, and that's disappointing to me. I mean, go ahead, Randy.
No, I think they're right about a lot of that. Brandon's right with the consistency. I do think when you're saying bringing a lot of different aspects to the superhero films, that is, there's so many different storylines to choose from Marvel and DC, where you can make real heart wrenching or bloody and just scary films. There's a lot of different options you have to go with when you're building a lot of these characters. There's so many, just, and that one of the things is, I think about consistency is, I think the consistency of the fact that there are great stories to pull from, and nobody seems to pull from them. Everyone wants to create their own idea and create their own version of this character, when in reality you can create your own version of the same story, where it's a don't mess with success. The comic books and the stories within the comic books are usually very well thought out, and when you pull from those ideas and pull from that, you usually get a really good product. And it's, the when you going back to your point of the Marvel being comedies, that was a phenomenal point. I didn't think about it that way at all. And when you said that, it really clicked a lot, because they're just try to make, they take the seriousness out of the characters. And when you take the seriousness out of the characters, they're just a sideshow, in my opinion. They just become like this person that goofy things happen to, as if they're like a 1980s comedy where the person's a normal guy, but all this weird stuff happened to him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just like the superheroes, the what has been pumping out in Marvel for a little bit now. And there's definitely opportunities to make the deeper connections with characters.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And I mean, yeah, I couldn't said it better myself, man. And let's see if there's any more questions coming through. I'm just double checking everything here. Let's see. Gabe, my cousin Gabe, commented on the video saying that Superman movie is going to hit high numbers. Look, Superman Legacy is not going to hit high numbers. Once again, DC is in a rebuilding phase, right? Let me just go ahead and pull this up.
When does it come out?
Superman Legacy is scheduled to release. It already has a release date on July 11th, 2025. So that's when that movie is expected. So apparently James Gunn already has a script done. He's already got a script done. They're already in pre-production for that film, which is, look, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be great to see. But Gabe, no. Sorry, I have sunburn, so I'm peeling now and everything's itchy. Yeah, man, Superman Legacy is not going to make money. As much as I wish that movie would make money, it's not. No, because what goes back to what Brandon said, there has not been consistency. The only thing that's been consistent with with DC films is that they've just been terrible. That's the only consistency about DC property and films that's been there, except Man of Steel. I will, until I'm dead, blue in the face, I will say Man of Steel is the greatest comic book movie of all time. Yeah. For me, it is hands down. Like I said before, and I always preach that all film is subjective. So, just because I may like that film doesn't mean you have to like that film or you have to feel that way. Fuck, man, you could say that Birds of Prey was the greatest comic book movie of all time, or the first Suicide Squad was the best DC property. But I digress. I mean, that's just.
Say, honestly, I agree with Brandon. I think Superman's going to hit numbers. I really do.
I'm sorry. With Gabe.
Gabe, excuse me.
Yeah, with Gabe.
I believe that. I think Gabe and me are going to on the same side there, because I think Superman is going to hit really big numbers. I think that would be the first major project from James Gunn, right? Would be Superman Legacy. So I think
that's the first property.
I think there's going to be a lot of legacy. I believe they're going young with a lot of characters, right?
Brandon said, I like Superman. I think the people are waiting on some Superman shit. Yeah, I agree. But, I think it's bullshit when Superman does his thing and he kills, right? Not meaning to, but I'm tired of this day and age when people are like, Batman doesn't kill. Shut the fuck up. Batman kills. Have you not watched Batman 89? He has the most kill count out of all the Batman on screen.
Yeah.
Right? Batman 89, Batman 92, Batman Returns. He's killed people. He's dropped people off a ledge and just didn't give two shits about it.
Yeah.
And that's why, spoiler alert, if you've seen The Flash, that's what's so great about the Flash movie is Gotham City is the safest place in the world, right? Because Batman don't fuck around. Hence why I got, Batman everywhere. He don't fuck around. He handles the job when he needs to. But back on the Superman. I agree. We need to see some Superman shit. We need to see. I think the problem with why Henry Cavill at first didn't work for people, because in the beginning, he was just starting out and he was dark because we were post Dark Knight era, right? So Dark Knight came out in 2008. We had The Dark Knight Rise 2012. And in that same summertime, we had Man of Steel, which was produced by Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder, Deborah Snyder, and directed by Snyder. So at that time period, we as movie-going fans and the audience, we wanted everything in realism. We wanted that nitty-gritty. We wanted that Dark Knight feeling out of our comic book properties. No longer did stuff like the Fantastic Four work, right? Or the 2003 Hulk or Daredevil or what else? Green Lantern. Because we were past that as an audience for that campy superhero story. Those were kids. And now because of the Dark Knight, when that came out, Batman Begins and Dark Knight in 2008, now superhero movies started becoming more adult-like. And that, as the audience, as movie-going fans, that's what we wanted. That's what we craved at the time. But for whatever reason, when Superman came out, or Man of Steel came out, and he, spoiler alerts if you still haven't seen it, which is kind of bizarre to me, but Superman snaps Zod's neck at the end, or they're fighting through Metropolis and they're destroying landscape. Well, what the hell? Right? We were so conditioned to having Christopher Reeve's Superman of this Boy Scout. And of course, now don't get me wrong, Brandon Routh was a great Superman. Awesome Superman. Just in a bad Superman movie. Superman Returns. But we were so conditioned to having not going to lie, Batman be kicking ass. That is true. Yeah. Oh yeah. I agree. So where was I going with this? We were so conditioned to having such a Boy Scout Superman that when we got Henry Cavill, I don't think people were ready for that. And I feel like that's the Superman I want to be able to watch Superman like that. I want a little bit of Smallville Superman mixed in with Man of Steel Superman and throw them in a pot and see what cooks. I don't know. What are you looking for out of your Superman in 2025?
Well, I think one of the kind of going back on a lot of things that you said, I think one of the things that happened is Deadpool and Logan and these storylines allowed the producers, because a lot of this is metrics and numbers and all that stuff. I think a lot of people were scared of taking that first step to a rated R superhero film. And when they found there's a market, and not only is there a market, there is a huge market for darker films, or films that even, that have the gruesomeness to it, where these superheroes can be shown to actually let loose, like the fight scene in the Batman vs Superman, where Batman was kicking ass with all those guys and he was doing his thing.
Yep.
That is the Batman that I know, and that I would love to see on screen, that type of version where he's just always, doesn't matter if he's going up against a non-meta-human, he's one step ahead of you, and it doesn't matter, because he's Batman.
I'm Batman.
And he's Batman. But
and
I think that James Gunn can take that, and a big thing too, the Thor character, the Captain America character that he built, they even though they developed to become a darker over time, they started out very cheap, like Mr. Fantastic kind of everything. Yeah, hands down. Yeah, that is true.
hell yeah,
That is
fuck you,
true.
Francis.
But I think that opened a lot. I think it opened a lot of doors for Superman to be a little bit darker, for Batman to show his true colors on film instead of being the, like, oh, I don't kill people, blah blah blah, hide behind this thing, and then they have a cutscene where he's riding over 30, in between houses and driving inside
Yeah.
people's houses. But I would definitely say that I hope that they go a little bit more of the realistic route. Not too dark, but enough to the point where, you can actually look at the characters with their power scaling,
I do have a fear, right, with James Gunn being at the helm of a Superman movie or just being at the helm of DC altogether. My biggest fear is that we're going to get Guardians of the Galaxy comedy in these properties, which, don't get me wrong, I don't mind, but I don't need that Suicide Squad comedy that he has, or that, Guardians of the Galaxy. That's, again, consistency. I want to be able to take these heroes seriously. I mean, they big part of my childhood development. I mean, I got boxes upon boxes in my office of comic books that I've collected since I was a kid, or they were given to me, or even in my adult life. So it's just one of those things that I fear. I don't know if you have that fear or not, but that's my biggest fear that I have moving forward.
I think that's a realistic fear to have. I think that James Gunn, with the Guardians of the Galaxy, when you say consistency, it throws me off because I think that the Guardians of the Galaxy had a consistent storyline.
Oh yeah, absolutely, they have. But okay, yeah, you're right. They have been consistent in tonally, in each film. They have been. Honestly, I still haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3 yet. I'm probably going. So Thursday is a big movie day. So I have off work Mondays and Tuesdays. But I've given up tomorrow, which is fine because I'm getting Thursday off.
Mm-hmm.
So Thursday is a big day because I'm going to see The Flash one more time. And then from there, I'm going in and watching Guardians 3 because I still haven't seen that. And then from there, once I get out of Guardians, I'll be heading right into Indiana Jones 5. That is my most anticipated movie of all time, hands down.
I seen some stuff. I worry. The same worry you have.
I know. I've seen it. I've seen it on the internet. I've had people, text me. I have friends. Look, I have friends that from doing this podcast type thing over time, you meet people, right? And working, my history with working in film, working, theater after high school and stuff like that, and pursuing that route. So you meet people in the industry, in which I have. And so I know people that have already seen the film. And they're telling me lower my expectations. But I just, come on, it's Indy. It's Harrison Ford, right? It's... I want to see the adventure, not the Avengers, but I want to be a part of the adventure. I don't know. I'm really hoping that I enjoy this movie. I really hope I enjoy it, because this is the last time we're getting Harrison Ford as Indy, and that's a big deal.
Yeah,
I mean, at least for me. So,
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I think Indiana Jones is going to be. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be. I think they're going to do well in the box office, obviously. Harrison Ford and Indiana. Well, maybe not, because a lot of the people who love Indiana Jones, they didn't grow up with the Indiana Jones that me and you know.
Right.
You know, me and you know him fighting Nazis. You know, a lot of the kids today, a lot of the people today know him as the guy who was staring into a crystal skull. You know.
Okay. Over or under? Right? Over or under? And it says the Indiana Jones. So according to Hollywood Reporter, and everybody know I love the Hollywood Reporter, and I follow them a lot. Hollywood Reporter, Variety. That I say on my show, right? So let's go ahead and pull this up real quick. And I'm a big numbers guy because numbers don't lie, especially with property. Hey, it's saying that we're having issues. Let me go ahead and make sure everything's going well. Yeah,
There's
so
a
it looks like it's running
severe
smooth. All
thunderstorm
right.
happening at my area.
Oh no. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Let's see. There is a what? Lose it? Did we just lose the stream? There we go. We're back. All right, we're back, which is good. Sorry about that. All right. According to the Hollywood Reporter, the box office tracking for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is tracking for 60 million to 70 million debut. So it comes out June 30th or the 29th. It says Disney and Lucasfilm's long-awaited next installment in the action adventure franchise is pacing to open a 60 million to 70 million over June 30th. Over June 30th, 2 weekend. Over its 2 weekend, according to early tracking, that's on par with Mission Impossible, Fallout, No Time to Die, and those films didn't face such a crowded marketplace. So, what do you think? Over or under 70 million? Will Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny? Will that movie make over $70 million opening weekend? Or will we see it make flash numbers, 55 million opening weekend?
I would say it's probably going to be more than that. I would say I'll take the over on it. The reason being is because I don't think that there's too much competition right now, and this week that it's coming out. I think the opening weekend is a good. You know, a lot of the movies are kind of stale right now. Guardians of the Galaxy's been out for a while. Spider-Man's been out for a while.
But here's the thing, though, right? Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man, they have their word of mouth has been great.
Yeah,
their word of mouth has been great. So they're having returning people. The people are going back and watching these films. So I mean, Indiana Jones, that's a property that our parents watched, or most likely they either watched the second or third one in theaters, depending on when our parents were born or your parents, so on and so forth. But so you look at the facts, right? I'm going to say, me personally, I'm going to say it's under the 70 million mark. And this is my most anticipated movie of the year. But I have to be realistic. When it comes to numbers, when it comes to box office, as much as I want to say, hey, this movie is going to break records, it's not. And here's why. Leading up to this movie, you have a couple factors that's in there, right? Kathleen Kennedy, you have running Lucasfilm. Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, Great box office. Absolutely great, right? Rise of Skywalker. Box office. $177 billion at the worldwide box office. That's for Rise of Skywalker. Last Jedi. Last Jedi box office. $133 billion. Let's keep on going. Force Awakens box office. $2.66 billion at the US box office. Great numbers. Oh, I thought I accidentally closed out the stream. Great numbers. But the problem is we have Kathleen Kennedy running Lucasfilm right now. And Kathleen Kennedy is part of this woke movement, or how can I say it? Rey Skywalker being a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker was a Mary Sue too as well. I hate to break it to you, but that's how it is. With each of those movies that came out, they haven't done that well. Like Force Awakens, now they have done really well, but the audience's reviews afterwards, not doing that well. What was another? You had Rogue One that came out. You also had Solo that came out. So let's look and see. Solo, Star Wars story, box office, $393.2 million. And that was a movie that was 98% of that movie was reshot because Phil Lloyd and Chris Miller were on it and Kathleen Kennedy fired them. So they left to go make Into the Spider-Verse. And then Ron Howard came and rewrote and redirected the whole Solo movie. You also have Rogue One. Rogue One box office. Let's see. $158 billion. Okay, so in the real world, like you would look at these and say these properties they make money. Indiana Jones 5 is going to make money, but no, man, I don't think it will. And a lot of it has to do with Kathleen Kennedy being the head of Lucasfilm. What we know over the past 5 to 8 years of these films coming out, the Star Wars films, everything that we've learned behind the scenes. Look at Disney Plus. The Star Wars films or TV shows on Disney Plus. Book of Boba Fett, down. Not good. You had The Mandalorian season 3, didn't do that well. Not as well as number 2 and number 1. So people are kind of being burnt out on Disney and especially on Kathleen Kennedy. I was expecting this was going to be Kathleen Kennedy's swan song, right? She's going to come in, deliver such a fantastic movie. And then we're going to get an announcement that she's going to step down from Lucasfilm. But I don't see that happening. I don't see us hitting that number. And I know it's getting late, so I know you have to hop off here in a moment. But yeah.
But I'll just say one thing on the Kathleen Kennedy and like the woke movement thing. I gotta say that I think it just boils down to how good the stories are. If the stories are good and executed well, like nobody said anything when Alien came out and Sigourney Weaver was the head of all 3 of those movies.
Oh yeah,
not a single person was like, oh, she's a woman. And it's one of the best summer action films of all time. So it's not so much, one of the things I would say is that there does need to be a place for the average comic book, video game kind of guy like myself. There needs to be a connection there. And if you're taking away everything, like if you're taking away a lot of the connections for that, then yeah, it's tough. But outside of that, it really just boils down You know, some people need that. You know what I need? I need good stories that
I
build.
agree. I agree. But also one last thing, and then we'll kind of wrap things up here. I don't want Indiana Jones to be a secondary character in his own film.
Oof.
I don't want to see that happen. You know, you got Phoebe Waller, you got a couple other people that are coming in, heavy hitters for this film. Everything that all the uh, what do you say? How do you say it? All the ingredients are there to make the perfect soup. I just don't. I have a feeling from what I've heard, from what people are talking about, reviews that I have watched, and I get it. Film is subjective, but they're saying it's not. I've just been told lower expectations, and I don't want to do that, man. It's indie, you know.
Indeed.
Shout out to Halloween 2006, Indiana Jones. So, but it is what it is. Hey guys, I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching this episode of VHS Movie Talk, where we talk about movies for you, the movie fan, every Monday and Tuesday. That's the deal, and sometimes during the week if we're able to get shows out. I want to say a huge thank you, Randy. Thank you so much for coming on the show and being a part of the show. Hey, if you want to throw your social medias out there so people can follow you, where can they find you at, man?
Well, they could follow me on I guess Twitter of sorts. Just Randy12353, and just look me up that way. Give me a follow. Connect with me.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. And of course, you guys know where to follow me, Dom Chayota at _ Dom Chayota at all the social media links. Guys, once again, thank you for tuning in and being a part of the show. So I do have to say, hopefully Thursday I get another episode out and I'll be able to do a review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So remember, kids, always let the Wookiee win. And